listening to Xposed Living, Be Ageless, the podcast where we drop the masks, flip the script, and talk real life, real love, and real leadership unfiltered. I'm Stacey Vanthuyne, coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of the Xposed Living movement that's redefining what it means to live, lead, and grow at any age. We talk identity, reinvention, belief, and freedom from the bedroom to the boardroom. Yes, we go there. This is not about staying young. This is about waking up. So if you're done with the shoulds and craving more fun, more freedom, more truth, more you, then grab your favorite drink, your bestie, maybe your journal. It's time. Let's get exposed. All right, welcome to Xposed Living. Today's guest is a woman who embodies what it means to say yes anyways. Jessica Dahl is not just a leadership coach, not just a life coach, not just a podcast host, a retreat leader and author. She's literally a force. She's a co-founder of Wholeness Journey, a non-for-profit on the front lines of healing and restoring women who've been impacted by trauma and human trafficking. Her story has taken her from hairdressing and fitness training to living around the world on a year-long mission trip. And today, she's creating spaces where women remember who they really are, reclaim their voices, and step into their purpose. Jess and I are about to step into something deeply personal together. This October, we leave for Thailand to join the Wholeness Journey, where we'll work directly with women and communities affected by human and sex trafficking. And this isn't just about them, it's all about us. Because trauma, silence, and shame don't discriminate. Every woman in our Gen X generation carries scars, we carry secrets, and we carry untold stories that keep us from living fully. I know this episode is going to be impactful. The moment I met Jess, we instantly had a connection. I reached out to her, and when she told me about Wholeness Journey, I knew I had to be a part of this. This episode is a call to awareness, a call to courage, and yes, a call to action. Because while love and healing changes lives, it takes resources to create impact. If you feel called to stand with us, you can partner with us through our fundraising page. I'll have all the links in the show notes. You can always reach out to me and or Jessica after the show. The truth is your support goes directly to this mission and directly to the women who we're here to support. Jess, I'm honored you're here and honored to walk alongside you in this journey. Welcome to Xposed Living.
Thank you, Stacey, for having me, one on the podcast and two coming to Thailand. I can't wait.
I can't wait. It was really interesting. I was sharing with you before, probably about 4 years ago, when my paths initially crossed with Bob Proctor. He asked me what it is that I want. And I wasn't sure. I think a lot of us get into that space where we're not really sure what it is that we want. Or we think we want something, but not. Or for me, it was like to retire. And then all of a sudden I realized, like, really? I know how to do that. I just have to continue working, continue wearing what I'm saving for, and it'll happen. So there was really no growth. And then I went on to share with him a story about my kids. I want my kids to have something. And then he said, that's a great story about your kids, but what about you? And it was then that I remembered being in India and working and coming home from India and knowing that I really, if I could be anything, wanted to be a philanthropist and give back. And so I said in that moment, I want to go somewhere and help women and children to live more free, to have purpose, to understand that they are worthy of great things. And I feel the moment that I met you, that this was like a manifestation in the meeting. So when you said we're going to Thailand or shared about Wholeness Journey, I was like, I'm in, like, this is it. It resonates with what we stand for at Xposed Living and helping people to reclaim their purpose. And so, Jess, your mantra is saying yes anyways. Can you share with us what's the raw truth behind that phrase and how has it shaped you into doing the work that you do today?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I remember it was probably right before the pandemic. I was on a call with one of my best friends. We talk every day, we pray together every day, all the things. And I remember somehow in the conversation, I kept saying, say yes. My friend stopped me and she was like, Jess, that's who you are. You're a say yes person. You say yes to hard things. You say yes no matter what, even if you don't understand it, even if the world doesn't understand it. You go where people go or would never go. You do the things people would never do. And it was, I needed that, friend reflection back. And in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like I mean, I even have this tattoo on my arm that says "Spirit lead me, trust without borders." Like I've always just been this person that's like, if I know and feel the call, I'm going to go. I'm going to stand up for whatever the thing is. I'm going to start something. I'm going to, And so I actually started a podcast called Say Yes Anyway from that whole thing because I was like, wow, I think that so many people have something in their hearts that they need to say yes to, and they don't, maybe it's dormant inside of them, or maybe they don't really know and need to start uncovering what this thing is. Maybe we're all different humans, like what makes us passionate, what makes us excited, what makes us maybe have like a righteous anger, why we have empathy, or what we're compassionate about, what we keep talking about and keep doing. So I just believe everybody has, and it doesn't mean, by the way, that you say yes to everything, but it's that clear path of like what you are supposed to say yes to, and that's where it came from, and that's what it is.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is about getting more into a habit of saying
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think so many of us have that, initial instinct. And if we don't act right away, then all the reasons why we shouldn't or what could go wrong kind of flood in, and it
Mm-hmm.
stops us from saying yes more often.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it's important for me as I move forward to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it doesn't feel in alignment,
Mm-hmm.
like it's okay to say no.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I love your tattoo that you mentioned because I want to kind of go into that. You said, "Spirit leads me, trust without borders." Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where do you get your trust? Because I think this is like, why don't more people say yes? It's almost like we
Mm-hmm.
trust, why not? We trust
Mm-hmm.
the fear more than
Yeah,
the faith. Can you like
totally. Totally.
help me and share with that?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what beliefs all the listeners have, I have a foundation in God or Jesus Christ. But very much over the years have just kind of built this relationship with like, like how I'm talking to you. I hear you talking to me and I respond back. I now have that kind of relationship where I hear things, I feel things. It's like a knowing for me. And so that's where that trust comes in. It's spirit lead me, trust without borders, where it's like when I get that like knowing, or whether it be a voice or I see something or I'm talking to a friend and it like, reminds me of something I was talking to God about or something, it just it has built this deep conviction in my soul that I just know, and I just have this trust. I think because I've just developed for many, many years. It's not, one thing I just chose overnight. It's like a choosing to listen. And so now I just um have developed this knowing that in the moment whenever I, receive information, I don't question it anymore. I'm just like, I'm going to say yes to this place. I'm going to trust without any border around me or like what ifs. And I still fall into traps all the time, right? Like we all do. I'm human. But I get into that place of, oh, you're going down the rabbit hole, or your mind is trying to take over, or you're anxious right now. That's not the truth. So I have to take myself through this whole process. But when I really know the actual answer or path, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let any border, anything get in the way. Like, I'm going to go and like trust that direction, whatever it is in life.
I want you to take us through that process. But before you do, because I think there's a lot of people out there,
Mm-hmm.
and at least my story was to for Gen X women and men, that somewhere along the lines we stopped trusting ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That situations happened where maybe the outcome wasn't what we totally wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of recognizing that as an opportunity to learn, almost saw it as an opportunity to stop, or that it was a failure, or the way we looked
Mm-hmm.
at it. And I remember this quote one time saying, when we pray, it's us talking to God. When we trust and listen to our intuition, it's God trust, like talking to us.
Totally.
And so if somebody listening today maybe doesn't have that same level of conviction and or trust that you have, you started to say, you're not perfect, nobody is, but you're aware. Can you kind of lead somebody of how maybe they could start to identify things that are their intuition or your reasons to say yes?
Absolutely. Well, one, I think, again, not making it be even about grandiose, huge things like whether you're supposed to move somewhere or start a business. Like it might be something like, oh, grab your sweater before you leave the house. And you like feel something and it's in your head or you feel it in your heart or something, but you just don't, you're like, it's going to be fine. The sun's out, right? And then you're driving along the way and then all of a sudden it's pouring rain and you're like, oh my gosh, I should have listened and grabbed that jacket. There was like a reason for that. And so now even like the smallest things, like that is an actual example. If it's, oh, go back to the house and grab your water bottle, and then, or I'm driving on the street and I always, take the right road. Oh, for whatever reason, I feel like I'm supposed to go left today. Just simple things like that allows you to begin to trust yourself. And again, you may never know, like maybe you were supposed to go right because there was a car accident on the other side. And we don't really know, but I just say like trust it. There's something there when you keep practicing that trust, because when you can do that with the small things, you start to do it with the big things. And so just again, don't make it be like a crazy grandiose things. Just start listening to those small whispers and follow it.
I love that. It is a practice. It's like gratitude or anything. The more we do it, the more that we put it into play. And I love what you're saying. Like, make it the little things. You have somebody that comes into your mind and you're thinking about them. Call them.
Totally. I even now, there might be someone I'm sitting by at the on a plane just recently, actually. I just kind of wanted my own silence and not to talk to anybody. But there was this lady next to me, and I felt like I was supposed to talk to her. And I was like, okay. So we just start building this conversation, whatnot. We have a great conversation. But then afterwards, what was so amazing is she actually sent me an email after she found my email. She like looked me up online and she was like, oh my gosh. She was like, I just have to tell you, thank you so much. Like, whether you think so or not, like, you were like an angel that was put in my path. And she wrote this whole thing. And I was just like, wow, like, if I didn't just listen to that for whatever reason she needed me that day, and, I could have just been so buckled into my own thing. But that was me listening to my intuition of having this conversation with her. And look what it did. So we just don't know. It could seem so small, or like, we want to do our own thing, but maybe there's something right outside of us that you don't know how you can make an impact. And I think that's another thing too, is some people are like, oh, I have to go make an impact in Uganda, which is great. I mean, I go all over the world. You and I are going to Thailand. And at the same time, there's people right in front of you. Like, what can you do while you listen to your own intuition? You have a gift, you have a voice, you have maybe a listening ear, you have something all the time, like right there to give.
So good. What do you think stops people from listening to that intuition?
I mean, one is just our own ego, our own fear, our own doubt, our own maybe insecurities. Like if it's, to talk to someone, maybe you're afraid of talking to somebody. Maybe it's, I've had like actual like encouragement for somebody and I'm like, that's not going to make any sense. I don't even know that person. And then I tell them and they're just like, how did you know? So you just literally don't know. But it sometimes it can be embarrassment. It can be you messed up one time with whatever, you were off on your intuition the first time, so you don't want to try again. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success, even. Like there's so many different things. If it's in business and you're supposed to do something to go to the next level, but you feel like an imposter, or you are afraid of all the more work you're going to do because of the success. You don't want to do it, but you know that you're supposed to. there's so many things. And I mean, I get into that with all my coaching stuff, but there's many things that stop us. And we have to know ourselves super deeply and know what we're designed for and know what we want in life in order to make it worth it to get onto the other side. If you actually don't think it's worth it, if you don't know what you're designed for, of course you're going to hold yourself back because you don't know you're supposed to be over there.
Thank you for sharing all those things that we wanted it to be voiced on the show. Because I know my listeners are out there saying, I trust myself. I listen to myself. And that there are these times when we maybe do lack clarity of our impact. I really believe everybody wants to create more impact in the world in some level. It looks different for everybody. But if we're not taking those steps, it is a lot of times due to our ego. And it's almost like we can say it's not ego by rationalizing things or by, again, looking into and saying, I want this controlled outcome of it. So if I don't think that the outcome's there, or if I'm not clear why I have had this like feeling to do it, we might not. Yeah. So people who are listening, this is your sign today, hearing it from Jess and her experience on like, do it anyways. What's the worst that could happen? Someone says they don't want to talk to you. Like, so what? You know, and I think that that's what's so important about living exposed, being ages. If we're not willing to embrace those challenges, if we're not willing to get uncomfortable, then we will continue to get what it is that we've always got. So share with Jess a little more of your story, from hairdressing to world traveling to leading Wholeness Journey. Your story's full of reinvention. What's the common thread that's guided you through each of these leaps?
Well, I mean, a big thing has been taking action and then listening. I've always been like a very, like, you know, you said force. Like I've been go, 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 go. And I've had quite a few moments in life, I will say, that actually stopped me dead in my tracks, whether it be burnout or I had a, you know, business or nonprofit partnership separation. I've had a house burn down. I've had, you know, just different things that have almost these like big catastrophic moments that are like, wake up. And why I'm actually really passionate about this whole say yes thing too is because I've had so many whispers in my life that I didn't listen to, whether it be, hey, don't partner with this person. And I did anyway, because I'm such a trusting person and because I believe in collaboration and because, you know, all this stuff. And it be, you know, years in and it's like, here's all the red flags, but I'm a loyal person, so I'm going to continue. And or listening to my body, where I would just keep moving no matter what and not listen to my body, my emotions, my health, until it was too late, really. And so now I'm like, it was a few years back and I was like, oh my gosh, I am not going to wait for the huge fire. I was talking to one of my mentors. Again, it was like a few days after my apartment burned down in Los Angeles. It was due to arson. Someone did it to our neighbor's house and then it blew up our place and we lost everything. But I remember actually telling her, I was like, you know, I felt like I was supposed to be moving out and but I was like too afraid to have a conversation with my housemate. I was like, let's just, you know, wait until later. And I was just like prolonging stuff because of different fears that I had and then more work that I had to do with finding a new place. It was just like I wanted to stay in comforts, all these things. And then I told her, I was like, but man, I knew, like, for whatever reason, sometimes God like brings these like big kabooms for me to wake up. And she was like, really? She was like, do you want those big fires to wake you up? And then I was like, actually, I don't want these big fires to wake me up. And she's like, yeah, I chose a long time ago to choose ease. And I chose a long time ago that I don't need a huge fire to wake me up. And I was like, oh my gosh, but I didn't know otherwise. I thought that I just had to keep going the way that I operated because that was me, right? And then wait until the big thing happened for me to change. And so that was how I used to pivot. And so I would have to, hit a rock bottom and then rebuild again and hit a rock bottom and rebuild again. And so now, and going through every different phase was not easy to reinvent who I was, because I found, for example, like when I passed off my very first nonprofit, and that was like a dream. That was like, where I thought my life was going. And I just remember sitting on my yoga mat being like, oh my gosh, who am I now without this? Like, what does my life look like without this? Who am I now that, are people going to think I don't care about people because it's like I'm not doing this same work anymore? Are people going to think? And again, it went to all this like, are people going to think? And it was like, are people going to think I'm not capable of the work that I was doing? Like, but who am I without doing all this work? Like, I was really well known in the community. And so it felt almost embarrassing. Like, how do I explain myself of what I'm up to now, So I had to do just so much inner work, and I had to uh, only be around people that were uplifting, that were encouraging, that loved me for me, not what I did, and that encouraged my health, more than anything, my identity and who I was. The dreams that I've always had encouraged me to go after those. And so it was very much like a being by myself with those, core people, a lot of time in nature, and creating space. Like I had to let go of a lot, create a lot of space for the new to come. And so through each transition, then I decided to go all in on my life coaching and stop doing hair. And I had Wholeness Journey at the time as well. But I was also terrified. Okay, I've never, I've been a hairdresser and fitness coach and stuff my whole life. I don't know how to coach people. But then I reminded myself, oh, you've been doing that your whole life, like through hair and fitness. You've been, a therapist, a coach, like people's life changing experiences have been in your chair with you. And so it was these identity shifts of, oh, this is just naturally who you are, and step into it fully. And then I would just have to like, all right, I'm letting go of this completely. I'm going all in over here. So, I mean, I know that was a lot, but there's been, a lot of work that has had to be done to reinvent myself. And also just remembering like I'm still me from the small little 7-year-old that I've always been. And at the same time, we're always growing. We're always letting the new pieces come through that we have not allowed to shine, or we've now gained so much life experience. Like now I'm just like, holy crap, I've had so much life experience. Like, even though I'm not happy, I mean, it's not like I would wish certain things upon anyone, but I'm glad. I'm like, whoa, I can relate to so many people now through lots of hardship and lots of amazing things, that it's like I can now, I now feel very embodied, where it's like I really come now from a place of not just head knowledge, like I know this stuff, but like heart knowledge, like I really know this stuff.
It's interesting. My coach and I will always talk about like if your results aren't showing it, you may know about it, but you
Yeah.
don't know it.
Yeah.
Until it is in your heart, you don't respond differently. And I think a lot of Gen Xers who are listening to this podcast, you know, operate the same way as what you were sharing. Like we've been taught to hold it together, to stay strong, to continue to move forward. We don't really are taught how to grieve or how to let go, or, I always say like, why wait till the divorce? Why wait till the breakdown? Like to your earlier point, you have all of these intuitive nudges along the way. I think there was something like, get the feather. If it's not the feather, the brick comes. If it's not the brick, the whole freaking wall comes. So that
Totally.
effect. And so, I love when we started this about saying yes to yourself, but it's also very much around saying sometimes no, and letting go of the worry of what other people will think. It's not their lives. And I think that we make it up so much more, that like we're so much more important to other people than we really are. Like,
Yeah, they're not
they
thinking
really
about us
aren't
like we
concerned
think
about
so.
you, right? Like, newsflash, they're more concerned about their own selves. We're just again using that as an outdated belief and comfort zone to like allow ourselves to carry on miserably. I often say to someone like, are you more committed to the sack? Like, to your misery than to what you want, because they'll say, well, to what I want. Well, then let it go.
Absolutely.
But, to your other point though, how do we then get to know ourselves if our identity was so wrapped up in something and that, no longer serves us? And I kind of want you to answer that, of how you've been able to let that go to create a space to bring in the new, but at the same time tying it into the women that you've helped and we're going to help here coming up in Thailand, because they too have had these emotional impacts. They've set a certain identity, and letting go of the shame, letting go of the guilt, to ultimately create some space in it. So even in your own journey, have you done that? And then let's kind of transition into why you do the work that you do, and how we continue to make an impact with Wholeness Journey.
Totally. Well, I'm trying to think of an easy way to put it without getting into like a class, like a whole master class. But I mean, I like to think, and I believe that we as a baby, we're brought into this world, or like I said, I have a belief in God. I believe that like God created the world and had an intention for each one of us. So I think that the listener, you are important. Like you have a purpose on this planet, and you were pure white as snow as you came into this world. Humanity, there's been so many hardships. There then becomes different traumas, and then as we get older, we begin to believe things based off of our environments, or we intake information very differently. Like we can have the same parents, but at the same time all of us be very different, and so our stories are very different, and why we all carry certain things, maybe from a biological to our our parents, grandparents, whatnot. So all to say, I also believe that just every human, like I said, has a purpose on this planet, and part of our life is to uncover that and then to live it, and to be, people of, if we have an intention in this world, I think of like we're all worthy of love and grace, and like a full, like beautiful life, like fun, great relationships, like this vibrant life. And at the same time, there are going to be hardships in our path, but it is part of our journey on this planet to uncover what does that look like for me individually. So there's so many questions we can ask ourselves, of course, of going deep into like who we were as children, our life path and experiences, like what are we passionate about, like what do we care about, whatnot. And so I remember, for example, when I was about 20 years old, I ended up hearing about human trafficking. I was at one of my church events or something. There was this lady, her name is Molly, and she wrote this book called Caged No More, and she was just telling us about everything that was happening in our own backyards. And again, I'm young, I've never been trafficked myself, but there was something in me that was like this righteous anger, like, oh no, there's no way that this could happen to anybody. Are you kidding me? It was like this, like I couldn't relate to them, but it was like, I got to do something. And I'm sure listeners have had something like that, So then I moved to Los Angeles. I actually found an organization that was doing something right away within the first week that I was there. I was like, I need to get involved now. So I put myself out there, had this intention. One of my intentions was to work with those affected by human trafficking. So by 21, I was already doing that. We're on the streets. I'm meeting these girls, hearing their stories, anywhere from like teenagers up until like 70s, and in the streets of LA, like that's like not in India or anything. It was where I was living at the time. And so I was seeing these two different world views of Hollywood and people like coming to live their dreams. And then I'm on the streets from 11 a.m. until 11 p.m. until 4 a.m. with these women. And I'm meeting like the men, the Johns purchasing, the pimps that are owning the girls, all this stuff, going into strip clubs, like, starting to really understand. And I was realizing, oh my gosh, like, some of them were there because they needed to be there. They actually didn't have other options. They had kids they needed to feed. They had, so they were more so in like prostitution, like a willing state. There were some people that they were vulnerable kids and they, were preyed upon and groomed for like years. And then they don't have anybody else besides the person that now, owns them, and they have a quota that they have to make. And and I was noticing it was like mental manipulation and psychological stuff and emotional abuse, not just the physical stuff, but so much that was going on. And so anyway, the interesting thing too is I was raped when I was 21 on my birthday, one of my birthday parties. And I don't remember much because I was drugged, but I actually had that stuffed that down for 10 years because I was like, in the beginning, it built all this shame, all this I could have stopped this somehow, even though I couldn't have. I'm now dirty. Just all this stuff, all this fear, whatnot. And I didn't even put two and two together, but later, fast forward, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually understand what these women are going through on some level, like where, you're taken advantage of. You now are in this shame cycle. You now don't believe that you are worthy of love. So it was like this slow progression that just started happening. And that's what a lot of women go through, whether you've been even trafficked or through sexual abuse or anything like that. We all go through those type of things. But I started seeing that all women and people needed this. And identity, worth, being able to heal, understand that they have purpose, to be empowered, knowing we can't do it alone, and we need community, and we need to know there's a higher power like God that actually loves us and created us for something. Otherwise, we try to get out of it ourselves, and when we can't get out of it ourselves and we can't receive our own love, how do we receive anybody's love? So, yeah, sorry, what'd you say?
That's so good. It's 100% right. We keep wanting somebody else outside of us to save us, and the person that needs to save us the most is ourselves. A lot of times I feel like those things happen, and then we start to shame our own selves even more, and it's forgiving ourselves, to your point of there are God loves you. You were put here for a reason.
Yeah.
And that, you don't need the validation of somebody else saying that. You just have to start to believe it. But to your other point, you've been so manipulated or attached to an identity that we've just continued to hold on to so much that we become to identify more like that. And then you start to think of this, and that's when you're like, that's an imposter. I can't be her. And we're here to say, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah. But no, it's true. It takes work. And so all to say, fast forward, I remember when I had started my first nonprofit. There's actually this one scripture, but it talks about being a voice to the voiceless, being healing the brokenhearted, this stuff. And it really just caught my heart. It was oh, you are to be that person, beauty for ashes, to bring transformation to people's lives. And so I still hold true to that. It's one of my life, things that I stand by. And because I was really passionate of human trafficking and women in general, and of people, and I also saw this place of brokenness of people didn't see what they were what they were gifted in and what they were really created for. And I was like, oh my gosh, if people could just see how incredible they are, let's ignite them into what they are created for. And I just loved walking people through with conversation and how to get people moving forward in that direction, not the old story and version, but moving in the direction of the possibility. And so through a conversation with my now co-founder Christina, we were talking about so many of these concepts. We also were both yoga instructors and leadership coaching, world travelers, nonprofit founder, business, all the things. We came up with this concept of Wholeness Journey that was really not, because I've seen a lot of people go out and help people around the world, but a lot of times just there are ways of where you think that you're helping is helping, but it's actually hurting. And so it's not about just going and doing something and in a culture that is different than you, and then you leaving, they're just not going to, they don't see things the way that you do, so they're not going to take the stuff that you give them and like change their whole culture right away. And we saw a way of, okay, reaching the people if they're already on, like they're in their community that they've built some sort of safety. We come, they're, maybe helping them, helping the trafficked people or marginalized, maybe gain some life skills, like gain something, and then we come in and do that identity healing, wholeness, purpose, empowerment work, that there was like a stronger way that they could actually have sustainability. And so that's how we have been able to actually do this all over the world, is because if we just chose like a bunch of randos on the street, like you 10 people do workshops and retreats with stuff with them, they're not going to be able to keep that going, right? Because they can't then do it on their own. So yeah, that's how we've been able to do that, and it's been just life-changing, one for people like you, like participants, individuals that come, because you get to learn this stuff yourself, like remind yourself, but then you get to teach this stuff to them. Like we empower you to go and lead the women, the girls, and sometimes boys. Like we work with boys too that have been through the same thing. And it's so fun just to watch people that want to help, and they really see that they can make a huge difference. And then those that were impacting those that have been trafficked, like seeing them regain their worth and be able to know that they're not what's happened to them, but they are, you know, coming with like a foundation of like, at the end of the day, you are loved, you are seen, you are cared for, you are worthy of who you are in like this life over here, and how to also know when there's things that are not good that come your way. Just remember, these things are going to come your way, and they're not worth your time or your body or your life, and like how to stop that.
Oh, so many powerful messages, Jess, and it's absolutely true. I mean, just because you have gained that clarity of what it is that you want and willing to get uncomfortable doesn't mean that all of a sudden there's no challenges or obstacles going to be in your way. But it's honestly goes back to that sense of knowing that this is happening for me to become the person I need to be to create the impact or receive what it is that I truly want, and to continue to persist through that and with an open heart. I'm excited for us to do a follow-up when we get back from Thailand, share some of the experiences.
Yeah.
I will do a call out after this episode to say, this isn't just an episode. It is a call to action. If you love what Jess has said, you want to be a part of future wholeness journeys or support us in this upcoming mission, please do click the link in the show notes, reach out to me, and become a partner through fundraising efforts that we're doing towards the charitable organization. You ready for some HLS questions, Jess?
Let's go.
Wrap this up?
Of course.
Okay. 5 questions that I ask all the time, a random kind of sort of. But Jess, what is one belief you're done with?
A belief I'm done with is caring what people think.
Yes. What is one habit that you swear by each and every day?
To do something, even if it's just a minute a day, something physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So even if it's a minute of each one of those things, you have 4 minutes a day, I think you can do that.
What's one question that you ask yourself regularly?
Are you living in alignment with who you're called to be, or are you, doing what everybody else wants you to do, or are you doing like the old version of you? Like, how are you operating?
What's one quote or book that you feel have really impacted you?
I really love, it's on my email, but what if your purpose was what if your purpose was to find your gift and then give it away?
Powerful. It is really powerful. And last but not least, what does living an exposed, ageless life mean to you, Jess?
I feel it is being authentic, being yourself, being humble, being, open to all possibilities, being a healthy, whole version of you, honest. Yeah, it's just kind of raw, like putting yourself on the line and going for it in all of the different aspects of your life.
When you were talking earlier, you're like uncovering, I'm like, girl, get it. Like it is. It's ripping through. So thank you for sharing that today. Jess, as far as those who want to directly support this journey, or learn more about you, all of the things that you have going on in your world, how do they get more Jess Dahl in their lives?
Love it. Well, you can go to jessdahl.com. You can go to my Instagram, Jess Dahl and _, and it's also DAHL, not DOLL. If you want to support the journey, Stacey's going to put a link there that will directly support. And we go in mid-October, so it's super soon. We'd love for all of you to partner with us and with Stacey individually. But yeah, that's the best way. Reach out anytime. I'm always down for a conversation.
I appreciate you taking the time today. I know you've got a lot going on. This woman is a force. She doesn't stop. She moves. She loves to create impact. She's found her purpose. And the reality is there's no difference between you or Jess. She's just decided to make a decision to take action where it's uncomfortable. If you're ready to live an exposed life, that is one of the challenges we have for you. Maybe today you can just think, what is that impact that I want to create? And just take a moment to think of one thing that you can do and then decide to take action before you're ready and do it now. Thank you so much for listening to Xposed Living. Be ageless, and we'll see you next time.
That's it for today's episode of Xposed Living, Be Ageless. But this is just the beginning. If this episode made you feel something, share it. Tag me. Send it to a friend. Let's start the conversation we can be having all along. No shame, no guilt. Unfiltered, raw, real, exposed. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us inside the Xposed Living Facebook community, where we take this work off the podcast and into real life. Know this, your change starts when your excuses die. Because this life, this one wild, ageless, unforgettable life is waiting on you. This is your time. This is your truth. This is Xposed Living.